Now, I've told you guys several times that it's not possible for anyone to be a Muslim and at the same time a friend of the Jews. You could be friendly, you could be with a temporary peace, but it cannot be real peace. Why? Because if you are a Muslim, you follow the Quran. And the Quran is a document to teach hatred of the Jews, especially more than anything else, and to tell the world that this Quran is what they call the Nukba. The Nukba meaning it's the rule, it's the law of the world. And everyone else has to follow it in order to get the permission to live. Now, most people are not aware of this because they hear statements from the Muslims that say, no, what are you talking about? We value life. As our Quran says, that whoever takes a life, it will be as if they killed all of humanity. And whoever saves a life, it's as if they saved all of humanity. So you see, our Quran says we value life. You know what the problem is? They're never going to mention the source of that sentence. Do you know why? Because if they mention the actual source of that, someone will eventually look it up. And when that someone will look it up, they will find out that what they said is not exactly 100% true or even 50% true. And the good news is, somebody did look it up. In the Quran, in Surah number 5, chapter 32, comes this verse that everyone mentions in the name of the Quran being a peaceful document. And it says, that is why we ordained the children of Israel that whoever takes a life, unless as a punishment for murder or mischief in the land, it will be as if they killed all of humanity. And whoever saves a life, it will be as if they saved all of humanity. Here we see that the sentence is a world of difference from what they said. First of all, this is not the rule for the Muslims. This is what they say they rule and ordain the children of Israel. Meaning the Jews are obligated to believe this, not the Muslims. The Muslims don't believe that one life is, if you take one life, it's as if you destroyed the world. They have no value for life. They sanctify death. As the Quran itself says, we ordain for the children of Israel that whoever takes a life, it will be as if they killed all of humanity. Furthermore, where does this sentence come from? It comes from the Talmud. It comes from the Gemara. Meaning, this is one of the teachings of our sages. This is not a Muslim teaching. This is a teaching of our Jewish sages that say that the value of one Jewish life is as if it's the entire world. And little Muhammad over here is plagiarizing it and saying it, oh no, we're the ones that brought it, for the Jews to follow that. Now, since when do the Muslims care about the Jewish sages? Well, let's see. In Surah number chapter 5, verse 32, we saw that the Muslims believe that the Muslims believe in the teachings of the Talmud and the sages, but for the Jews to follow it. And then the next verse, if someone just so happened to actually read what it says in the Quran, says, indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and spread the mischief in the land is death, crucifixion, cutting off their hands and feet on opposite sides, or exile from the land. this penalty is a disgrace for them in this world, and they will suffer a tremendous punishment in the hereafter. The Quran in the next verse tells us how they are supposed to follow the law. Meaning, the Jews, not allowed to kill. Why? The value of one life is as if you killed the whole world. That's your book. That's what you have to follow. Why? Because the Torah is holy. The Quran says the Torah is holy. They follow the Torah, they say. But the rule for the Muslim, anyone that goes against us, then they get the worst possible torture and death you can possibly imagine, with details. Death, crucifixion, cutting off their hands and feet on both opposite sides, exile from the land, disgracing them in this world and the next. In so many words, a free reign to torture people. Pretty much what they did on October 7th. Even the murderers around the world don't act like this. They took a bunch of children and they put them in animal cages. And then they burned them all alive and chopped off some of their heads. It's written in the Quran. Now, if a person continues to read, they'll see that the Quran is full of these vile messages, to the point where if you go to verse number 43 and 44 in Surah 5, you'll see the Quran says, but why do they, it's talking about the Jews, but why do they come to you for judgment when they already have the Torah containing Allah's judgment? Here, the Quran is saying to the Muslim, why would they even come to you? They already have the Torah that contains God's message. So you would think, wow, so they must like us. Go to verse number 44. And you see how they distort reality. Indeed, we revealed the Torah. This is the Muslim speaking. This is the Quran. We revealed the Torah containing guidance and light, by which the prophets who submitted themselves to Allah made judgment for the Jews. So too did the rabbis and the scholars judge according to Allah's book, with which they were entrusted and of which they were made keepers. So do not fear the people, fear me, nor trade my revelations for a fleeting gain. And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed are truly the disbelievers. Here the Quran is in essence telling the world that first of all the Torah is the word of God. Not that we need Muhammad to tell us the word of God, but here it's showing us how much of a hypocrite they are. On one hand, they're saying that the Torah is the word of God, which the Jews, the rabbis, the scholars, they judge according to it. They were entrusted as the keepers of it. Don't be afraid of anything but the same God that gave them the Torah. Anyone that goes against it, anyone that goes against the Torah is considered a kofar, a disbeliever. But yet, if you continue reading on, you realize, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. How did you reveal the Torah to the Jews when the Jews came 2,000 years before you even existed? We started as a nation at Mount Sinai 3,334 years ago. Islam started 1,400 years ago. There's about a 2,000 year difference there for those who don't know how to do math. How did you reveal the Torah to us if we preceded you? Furthermore, when you went to the Jewish sages, why did you slaughter them in the end? Because they said that Muhammad is an ignoramus who doesn't know anything, and they don't want to follow his guidance. and his ideas. And that's why later on, the Quran turns from saying that the Torah is real, the Torah is a word of God, into saying that the ultimate salvation of the Muslim will only come by murdering all of the Jews. See here, Rabotai, you have a book, a religion, an ideology that billions of people follow blindly. Some follow it religiously, some follow it blindlessly without even knowing the religion, by just simply supporting Palestine, supporting Hamas, supporting the enemy. Why? Because they look poor, they look miserable, they look abused, and it looks like the Jews are abusing them. When the reality is, they're doing the opposite. They're the abusers of their own people. They're the tormentors of the Jews. And in fact, they're the tormentors of the entire world. Not because I said it, not because I believe it, but because that's what their book, that's what their religion, that's what their ideology teaches. Well, on one hand, they tell you, yeah, the Torah is the word of God. But the very next one tells you things that contradict that. And then you go further and you say, it says not only things that contradict it, things that are antithetical to it. Well, on one hand you said the Jews are the keepers of the book of God, but later on you say that the Jews have to be destroyed in order for your salvation to come. We see that this double talk, or talking out of both sides of the mouth, outright lies, is very much the nature of Ishmael. Ishmael, metzochek, as the Torah says, scorns and makes fun of everything that's of value.